This turkey burger is more than the sum of its parts with smashed avocado, red onion, an herby yogurt sauce, and a Parmesan crisp. I'm getting hungry just talking about it, so let's get started. First, let's go through each of the components, starting with the avocado. Very carefully, cut into the avocado like this, then move the avocado, not the knife, around in a circular motion until you're back where you started. At this point, you should be able to twist it open and reveal the pit. Press your knife into the pit, then twist to loosen it and remove it from the flesh. Now you can scoot the avocado into a bowl, season it, and go to town with a potato masher. I like to add a little lime juice to keep the avocado from oxidizing and turning brown. It also gives a nice little zing to the flavor. For the yogurt sauce, let's start with the herbs. I'm going simple with parsley and cilantro. If you want tzatziki vibes, you can add some mint, but that's not what I'm going for. Chop up those herbs and toss them into a medium bowl with the yogurt and give it a mix. By the way, exact ingredient amounts will be able to be found in the video description below. Squeeze in the other half of that lime and add some salt and pepper. Now mix again, taste for seasoning, and make any final adjustments before setting aside. Now let's move on to our Parm crisps. These are insanely easy. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and then use the smallest holes in your box grater to shred the Parmesan. And let's use the real stuff please, Parmigiano Reggiano. If you're not sure, check the rind and you'll see the stamp. Now get a rimmed baking sheet with a silicone mat or some parchment paper. Make little piles of Parmesan on the baking sheet. If you want something more uniform, use a ring mold and sprinkle the cheese into that. Put these in the oven until they're nice and golden, which should take about 3 to 5 minutes. Once they cool down, carefully peel the crisps off the mat. If you cook them properly, they should make a nice crunchy shattering sound. By the way, these also make a killer garnish for a salad. For our last components, we just have onions and lettuce. Keep your red onion whole when you peel it since we want rings. For this, I like to cut the onion really thin and then you can add as many slices as you want. Remember, raw onion is a very strong flavor. And for the lettuce, you can use whatever you want, but I'm a sucker for shredders, so I'm chopping this iceberg in half and getting nice thin strips. Now onto the patties. So, I lied. This is actually ground chicken and not ground turkey, but this is what I had on hand. And also chicken burgers just doesn't have a good ring to it, so use whatever you want. Most ground chicken is pretty lean, so this doesn't have a lot of fat to it, and that's part of why we're using the avocado as well as the yogurt sauce. That'll help give it a little balance. We want to get these pretty thin, so we're only going 2 to 3 ounces per patty, which is going to get us about 5 patties per pound. There's really nothing else special going on here. We're not even going to add salt to this until later. If you have the time and patience for it, cutting out these little squares of parchment paper will really help us both in this phase and in the cooking phase, as you'll see in a bit. Get a heavy bottom skillet nice and hot. You want to avoid nonstick for this because we are going above the safe temperature for Teflon. After a few minutes of preheating, add some oil to the pan. You don't want to use olive oil for this. Use something with a high smoke point like avocado or vegetable oil. Once that oil starts to smoke a little, add your patty, then use a spatula to smush it down as flat as you can. This is going to get a maximum amount of the patty to make direct contact with the pan and maximize our browning. You can see the parchment paper is actually keeping the patty from sticking to the spatula when I pull it off. Now's your opportunity to season the meat. Apply salt liberally to the uncooked side of the patty. Let that patty sit for 2 minutes without touching it at all, then flip. If your patty's thin enough, another 2 minutes will get it fully cooked. But of course, it's always a good idea to use a thermometer to check for doneness. Once your patties are all cooked, it's time for assembly. We'll add the turkey to the bottom bun, then on top of that we'll put a thin layer of the avocado. You don't want to heap it on because it'll just smush out when you bite into it. Next the shredders, then the onion, then the Parmesan crisp. Then I'll slather my top bun with the yogurt sauce and place it on top. And here we have a very delicious, very flavorful turkey Smashburger. Because of the simple nature of the turkey patty, the turkey actually doesn't end up being the star of the show. Rather, all the components work together, creating a medley of textures and flavors, culminating in what I consider to be a damn good sandwich. Well, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.